Hi guys, this is Klazart, and I'm here doing a triple commentary with Moletrap and Diggity, and we are covering probably one of the most exciting matchups at the start of this new MSL season in Group B, and this is Bisu versus Jaedong. So starting off, I gotta ask Moletrap, Bisu versus Jaedong, is this the OSL final we would have preferred to have seen, and how do you think it's gonna go?
I don't know if it's the one we would have preferred to have seen, but well, I think actually, yeah, we would have preferred it because it probably would have been more, well, let me say less one-sided, I guess, than the finals were. It's definitely going to be exciting. I think it's going to be a good matchup, honestly. Everyone favors Bisu. Obviously, I think Bisu's Protoss versus Zerg is a lot better than Jaedong's Zerg versus Protoss. He does have his new ZVP that he's been doing really well lately, but I think Bisu's is better. But the thing to think about here is that Jaedong's on a roll, and this is Blue Storm. And this is the one map that Savior actually took a win from Bisu on. So that's kind of something that might play into things. Statistically, this map favors Zerg.
Right, that's an interesting point, but I'm going to come back to Diggity on the same point. Diggity, Bisu is the Zerg killer. He completely wiped the floor with Savior last time around. Okay, I mean, he didn't really wipe the floor. The games were close, but he still won quite comfortably. And this was when Savior looked to be almost back in prime touch. Protoss versus Zerg was traditionally Jaedong's weakest match, and we just see the scout going off from Bisu. Just for reference's sake, Bisu is in the bottom left corner in red, and Jaedong is purple at the top right. So, I mean, do you agree with that, Diggity? I mean, who's the favorite here in your opinion?
Oh, the favorite by far is definitely Bisu. Bisu redefined the Protoss versus Zerg game. Before, it was kind of like Zerg could have their way with Protoss. They could just slap them around. It was ugly. But Bisu came along, and all of a sudden you have the Bisu build. And oh wow, Jaedong actually taking a mineral patch, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting here. Jaedong's just taken the expansion at the 3 o'clock position because Bisu had his probe there to harass him, his early scout probe to harass him at his natural. So I'm not sure how that's going to affect the game. I don't think it'll affect it too much. Bisu has fast expanded as well, and Jaedong's scout hasn't arrived yet. So this is critical. What do you think of this Moletrap? The fact that Bisu's put that Nexus down before putting a forge, does that leave him a little bit vulnerable considering Jaedong has put a spawning pool before the second hatchery? Has Bisu been a little overconfident here?
I think he might have been. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like you said, the scout hasn't gotten in there. I think that Jaedong will probably opt for a third hatchery anyway, so those lings won't be getting out too long after. I think basically, I mean, the key to Bisu's build in general is the fact that his timing is absolutely perfect. He does things where he just barely has enough in time, and that's how he's able to get out Sares and DTs before the Zerg can prepare for it, and no one else that tries the Bisu build can seem to kind of do things fast enough. So I think he's probably going to have enough defense down barely in time for when those lings come out. And it looks like he might not be going for a lot of lings after all, actually, because we just see it looks like a couple eggs hatching there. I do want to note real quick that Bisu, like you mentioned, in red here, and Jaedong in purple. Purple is the color that Stork used to kick Bisu's butt, and red is the color that Jaedong used to kick Stork's butt. So it'll be interesting to see how the colors play out.
Color theory. We're gonna have to have a Moletrap thesis on this. So Bisu's Nexus going up. He's got his forge up. He's also getting his gateway up. He's got the first cannon building. So he's gonna be pretty safe there. And I agree with you. This is one of the hallmarks of all the top players. The aggressive style of gameplay where they don't really bother too much with defense. They keep the defense to an absolute minimum. And Bisu's probe just being ushered out now by Jaedong's lings. So, I mean, in that respect, Diggity, I've got to ask you, Bisu's now gone for this build where, do you think he's adapted his build slightly? Most of the time, especially on a map like Blue Storm, we very rarely see Protoss players put the Nexus down before the Forge, and it was a minor risk had he been scouted, had a drone been sent out or anything. He did a good job of keeping Jaedong busy. Do you feel this is an adaptation of Bisu's strategy, considering that he knows that Jaedong's new style of play from watching him play against Stork?
I think it was a bit of an adjustment. First of all, he knew he had delayed that second hatch basically long enough. Plus, he had that probe in there, so he knew when the sixlings were coming. What I think is actually really significant right here is he only has a single cannon down, and that's really going to be a big advantage for getting those Corsairs out 150 minerals faster. He still hasn't put a second cannon down. He's totally ignoring the fact that Jaedong has any sort of force out there. You see that one Overlord, that single cannon, single Zealot, that's definitely going to give Bisu a little bit of an advantage getting those Corsairs out a little quickly. And really what I'm interested in in is we saw Jaedong bust Stork's similar build, basically the standard Bisu build, putting the second cannon down now, on Katrina, and I think he did that by shielding. Basically, he shielded his Scourges with his Mutalisks. A lot of people are saying that the cannon placement was kind of out of whack, but honestly, I don't believe that. I think that was just some excellent micro from Jaedong, letting his Mutalisks take the hit on the cannon line initially, so his Scourges could then go into the Corsairs. Now, will he be able to do that again right now? I have no clue. Robotics facility going up right now.
Going down first.
Wow, before Stargate. Interesting.
Yeah, Bisu going for the robotics facility. I think Bisu is doing the right thing. I think Bisu's probably realized that he needs to adapt a little bit to combat Jaedong's build. And I think the reason he's got his Stargate up as well. We probably just didn't see it go, but the Stargate's already complete, and the robotics facility is still building. So this is pretty much the standard Bisu build. And the fact that he's gone for robotics facility is interesting, because that does mean he's likely to go for Reavers. And I think maneuverability is one of the things that's important. We were commenting on this map between Stork and Jaedong, and we noted the fact that Jaedong in all of his maps wasn't really aggressive with his drops, and didn't really drop quite a lot. So I think the fact that he's getting a robotics facility up so early is quite interesting. The key question still remains, however, to be answered. How exactly is Bisu going to cope? And Jaedong now building a couple more hatcheries at his 3 o'clock expansion. So Jaedong going into all macro. He's producing a lot of lings. We've seen he hasn't gone for he's gone for Hydra's Den as well as Aspire simultaneously here. So this shows the difference between the games between Jaedong and Stork and Jaedong and Bisu, where he didn't need to build Hydra's Den necessarily versus say Stork, whereas he definitely needs to build one against Bisu, because Bisu tends to get those Corsairs out that early. And this just goes to show the difference between a player who's playing aggressively like Bisu and who's not relying too much on defense, who's not investing too many minerals on photon cannons early on, as opposed to a player who plays more defensively, as the mindset that Jaedong seems to be trapped in. So I think this match is finally poised here. It could go either way. What do you think either player needs to do to get an advantage at this point? And the robotic support bit going up, so, and that second Stargate is crucial. How crucial is that second Stargate for Bisu here, Moletrap?
You know, I'm not. It's interesting because I remember that's what basically what Bisu did against Savior in their second game, which I think that was the one on Katrina, and that basically is what kind of ended up winning the game for him. He took that air superiority, and it didn't work in the beginning, but then after once he got his Corsairs out, because he had 2 Stargates pumping out Corsairs, he was able to take the air fairly effectively, which might be because we've seen Jaedong do a lot with Scourges. And so maybe having the 2 Stargates pumping out a lot of Corsairs might be the answer to that, because if he can get critical mass of Corsairs that he can kill Scourges coming in faster, then that's going to make it so that Jaedong, and chasing him around a little bit there, it's going to make it so Jaedong can't use those Scourges, which is what... Yeah, go ahead.
Jaedong's Scourge micro is quite impressive. It's reminiscent of Savior at his best these days. The other interesting thing to note is I thought I saw Jaedong putting a hatchery down at the 5 o'clock position. Indeed, he has put it down. So Jaedong really going all out macro here, and he seems to have been able to contain Bisu in his base, in his main and natural, just with the use of those Zerglings. And the other crucial point here is the fact that Bisu hasn't killed really that many Overlords outside of his base by the use of those Scourges quite excellently. Jaedong has actually confined Bisu to his main, and Bisu seems to be almost scared of venturing out until he has a decent sized force, though now he seems to be ready to go, and it looks like Bisu is timing his attack for that. And Jaedong, interestingly, has not gone for Mutalisks, he's gone for a lot of Hydralisks, so that might affect the game because he's not going to have a lot of maneuverability. Bisu playing a little bit of a defensive game. He's now taking that expansion at the 6 o'clock position. What do you think of this strategy, this slightly more defensive strategy, Diggity?
This is entirely uncharacteristic of Bisu. Usually when he has that first reave route, he immediately goes to the opponent's base, then settles down. He doesn't ever basically bother it looks like he just wants to take that location to 6 o'clock, offset 6 o'clock. And we've seen that, my guess is because a lot of Zerg players lately have been going for that, a little bit of a harass going. It looks like Bisu's starting to hunt now. A lot of lings coming down on top of the Reaver. as well as Scourges, as well as Heartless. He only had a single Scourge there, so he wasn't able to take out the shuttle. If he had a second Scourge, the shuttle would have gone down to the 6 o'clock position. One of the Reavers takes damage, but it survives, and Bisu is going to be able to secure the space. Sorry to cut in on you, Diggity, but please continue there. So, and meanwhile, Bisu is trying to kill off a couple of Overlords. Those Overlords are speed upgraded. He's lost 1 Corsair already. So I think, do you think this is a mistake by Jaedong? Should he have stuck to his air build, Diggity? Do you think he should have stuck to Scourges and Mutalist as a counter to those Corsairs, or is he giving air superior to Bisu? We saw that Savior couldn't cope with Bisu with mass Hydras. Is Jaedong going to be able to cope? That's really the question in the long-term game here. I was really surprised. Really, what we're seeing here is that difference in that 150 that basically the lack of harassment by Jaedong in the beginning, and now pushing up with a lot of Hydras. That's not going anywhere with those 2 Reavers in the background, though, without some brilliant micro, and I just don't think it's going to happen. But really, I feel like Bisu took that position just because there's been so many Zerg opponents that have taken that and used that advantage. Another drop going off with just a single. Oof, that's a little harsh catching that. This is what I was expecting earlier.
Brilliant play by Jaedong. burrows everything.
burrow.
Bisu obviously doesn't have any observers. That was brilliant play by Jaedong. So we've seen interesting adaptation of strategies here at Moletrap by both of these guys. Bisu's got the mass Corsairs going now. He's got the air superiority. Jaedong seems to be microing. Oh, there's a couple of drones there. Jaedong seems to be microing his forces quite well. He hasn't burrowed those drones, but Bisu seems to have put Jaedong on the defensive. And now Jaedong now intercepting those Corsairs. He's going to take out a couple of the Corsairs. Oh my god, Bisu's lost 3 Corsairs. 3 Corsairs being taken down by Jaedong. Bisu now going for a drop at the base. So even though Bisu's got this air superiority advantage against Jaedong, Jaedong seems to be playing excellently. And Moletrap, do you think that how do you think this game is going to go? Bisu's already lost 3 of his Corsairs. His air superiority doesn't seem to be working out for him, despite the fact that he's got those 2 Stargates. Is the macro advantage going to tell though with him getting that extra base at the 6 o'clock position?
That was a huge hit, him losing those Corsairs, because he has indeed, like you said, lost his air advantage. And we kind of saw for a moment there the true I guess the true strength of Corsair with Reavers, and he was just flying around, and he had the Corsairs there to try and take out the Scourges. But losing the Corsairs to the Hydralisk, now he no longer has that critical mass of Corsairs, and we can see there he's not putting out any more Corsairs right now. So he's not going to try, and it looks like he's not going to try to keep that air superiority. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Maybe he's going to try and mass ground units instead. But really, he hasn't accomplished enough with this, because another Scarab going off, but that one's not going to work either. It looks like he's killed maybe a total of 5 drones with his entire set of attacks, and actually maybe he has been pumping out Corsairs, because now he has several again. So he might be trying to keep that air superiority. I think that's why.
Right, he's rebuilt his fleet of Corsairs to up to 7 again.
Just real quick, I think that's why Jaedong went for the Hydras, is because he saw those 2 gates with his scout, and he knew that, excellent micro there, not quite though. But I think he saw those 2 gates, and he knew he was not going to be able to take the air, because he was going to have enough Corsairs to stop Scourges pretty quickly. So.
Right, and Bisu seems to be building a few more gateways, and he's just basically trying to keep Jaedong on the back foot, keep him guessing, and that does give you some hits to your economy if you're constantly having to move your drones about. But Jaedong's micro has been picture perfect. I think a Zerg who is not entirely on his game and is not 100% aware of what's going on would be caught out at one point or another. And DTs now as well for Bisu. I don't think this is going to bother Jaedong too much, but Bisu has got a large number of Corsairs built up. He has continued to build up those Corsairs, and now he's got DTs. So all he has to do is kill the single overlords, and Jaedong might find himself in trouble here. Do you think Diggity? And here comes the attack from Bisu. He's going to try to take that Overlord out and drop the DTs, but Jaedong covers excellently with those Hydralisks. Diggity, I've got to say, Jaedong looks to be, oh my god, and that base is completely undefended. Jaedong's main is going to be completely undefended. Bisu dropping in the single DT. He might get a lot of drone kills here, but again, if Jaedong's on top of his game, he's just going to burrow his drone. Since Bisu still doesn't have observers, that's all he's got to do is burrow to cope with that DT. But it might be difficult for him to get an Overlord in, since that DT is now starting to kill the drones down, and this is going to be a test of Jaedong's awareness. Is he going to be able to burrow those drones down? There's 4 drone kills, 5 drone kills now. Jaedong is giving the game away here. 6 drone kills. Finally, Jaedong wakes up to that Dark Templar. Diggity, do you feel Jaedong is really oh my god, simultaneous drop going off in Jaedong's natural with the Reaver, and this is what aggressive Protoss play is all about. Bisu certainly seems to be on top of his game. Diggity, do you feel Jaedong is as on top of his game as it is possible for a Zerg player to be right now?
As possible as it can be here. I mean, he's kind of overextended himself. He's put himself all over the place, and that's really the best situation for Protoss. Oh, so close right there. Gonna have to back off though, because you can just move those Reavers and those Dark Templar all over the place, and it's really hard for a Zerg player to watch everything. And it looks kind of like Jaedong might be setting up for a drop right there. He's got a lot of Overlords around those Hydralisks. I'm curious if he's gonna load up and go drop in Bisu's main in a second here. We'll see. Bisu in the meantime looks like he's gonna try to opt into DTs would be my guess. But yeah, really. Oh wow, a lot of lurkers going up right now. So we'll see. And he really needs to be careful. It's a good thing he's morphing those out in the field, because I feel if Bisu saw them now, he would just push in, because obviously nothing to stop the air at the moment. But anyway, as you can see, just a lot of macro going on. I think he is going to set up for a lurker drop, especially with that speed upgrade. I don't know. It kind of looks like the behavior. We'll see in a few seconds here. But really, I think Bisu has an advantage, because he can harass wherever he wants, and Jaedong has to keep up with him, not vice versa. He can just sit back and continue being the aggressor while Jaedong has to respond to him.
Right, and Bisu's also got the Overlords out, so he's going to see where Jaedong's units are. He's going in for another drop, but this time it's going to be a Templar drop. And obviously, I don't think drones are able to survive Templar drops. Even if you try and burrow them, you usually don't get a chance to burrow them in time anyway. And it looks like Jaedong's actually going to push. He isn't dropping in. Oh my god, the shuttle gets intercepted. So, but I don't think there was much in that shuttle anyway. I think it was just the Templars that he'd used to drop. So I don't think he's going to lose too much. He's got a lot of ground forces. Bisu seems to be playing defensively. He seems to be playing quite successfully in his defense, using those Reavers and those Templar, and taking out another couple of Corsairs. So he's not allowed Bisu to build up a lot of Corsairs. Corsairs. But Moletrap, how is the psychology going on in this game? Because we've seen that Bisu adapted his build, my guess is in adaptation of what he anticipated Jaedong would be doing based on what he saw previously, and Jaedong looks like he's going to try and attack this base, and Jaedong not going in for that extra at the 3 o'clock position, at the 9 o'clock position. Jaedong trying to go in, but he's pushed back. Bisu's defense is solid and unbreakable right now, so definitely this game is going to go further out in terms of macro. This is an opportunity, I think, for Jaedong, because Bisu's bunkered down a little bit to extend, but Bisu's playing a very intelligent game. He's defending his bases and at the same time using a drop. And looks like Bisu is going for a massive drop. And just before that massive drop lands, okay, actually, I don't think we're going to have the time to discuss the psychology before that massive drop lands. But I think Bisu might actually see that drop coming with that shuttle. Bisu going for the shuttle. That shuttle's going to get taken out by the Spore Colony. 1 hit, 2 hits. The shuttle survives. Bisu survives, but the score is coming as well. Oh my god, Templar going off. Lots of stuff. Massacre, John Massacre. Oh my god. No. He lost about 10 drones there. That's gonna hurt Jaedong. So this is brilliant StarCraft by both players. Despite the excellent defense by Jaedong, and despite his excellent awareness, Bisu was still able to kill a lot of drones, and Jaedong seems to have cancelled his drop for now, or he's actually just loading up another overlord. He seems to be taking almost too long. He's going to try and take out that 6 o'clock. Yeah, he's waiting for. I'm not sure if this drop is going to work. Bisu's defense are really solid, and Jaedong trying to. I think Jaedong should be just trying to out macro Bisu here, trying to get more bases.
I think he's opting for the main.
Jaedong is going in here. No, he's going for the drop. He's going for the drop in the 6 o'clock position. Jaedong coming in with all of the overlords. There's only 3 or 4 14 cannons here. He's not going to lose too many overlords. The units are dropping, but the Reavers are targeting. He needs to target the Reavers. One of the Reavers get taken down crucially. There's loads of photon. There's just too many photon cannons though. Corsairs coming in as well. He needed a few lurkers there as well. And this drop is going to fail for Jaedong. He's managed to kill a few of the units, but Bisu's defense survives. And crucially, he didn't lose any of his probes in that attack. So brilliant defense by Bisu, even though he lost his. If Jaedong had any units following up, he might be able to take on. Oh my god, Jaedong simultaneously trying to take out the expansion at the 9 o'clock position. But Bisu's defenses are well in place. So again, I'm going to come back to that question of psychology while we have a short break in game here. Moletrap, sorry to come back to you now. I think Bisu adapted his strategy based on what he thought Jaedong would do. Has Jaedong similarly then adapted his strategy to go for Hydralisk rather than his typical Mutalist strategy? I mean, do you think that's the psychology going on here, Moletrap?
I'm not sure if it would be kind of psychology. I guess it is what I would consider the psychology of this game as being sort of how each player has tried to put the other player on the defensive. Basically, at the beginning, Bisu was basically kind of being put on defense. And you can see that he didn't like that very much. He made sure he bulked up his forces enough to go on offense, and then that's what he did is he went around and tried to make Jaedong be defensive and harass Jaedong. And you can see as soon as he stopped, another big attack. No, never mind. That's not even a big attack. I don't know what Jaedong is doing. I'm not sure why he went for that base. He should have known. Oh, another storm drop going off. Looks like he only got a few drones though. But I'm not sure why Jaedong did that drop. He must have seen that there was that much defense there. I mean, you don't drop on a place with 10 cannons and 2 Reavers and a Templar. He must have expected that to fail. I'm not sure. I don't know. I expect Jaedong to do something else basically, and he hasn't adapted in a while. Basically, is kind of something that I've been concerned about. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
but
well,
he's still in it.
I think that's a good point to make.
It's kind of hard to tell which way it's going to go.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. Moletrap, who do you think has got the Diggity? Who do you think has got the advantage at this point in the game? Jaedong seems to be trying to switch over from a harassment strategy to a contain strategy. Do you feel? I mean, Bisu's done a lot of dropping. Jaedong hasn't lost a whole lot of drones, though we have seen on a couple of occasions he's lost a few. His scouting and awareness of the game has been excellent. Bisu now going in with a lot of speed upgraded zealots along with a shuttle, and Jaedong doesn't have any defense here, so he's gonna. Oh my God, Jaedong's in trouble. He's got no defense against that massive group. Storm going off as well on the drones. So Bisu really giving it to Jaedong here in terms of offense. He's probably going to be able to kill off, and that shuttle's definitely going to get taken out. I don't think it's going to escape despite Bisu's excellent micro. And we got forced by just taking that shuttle down. This is excellent micro by Bisu, but eventually the shuttle does die. Storm going off in the middle of the map, killing a bunch of Jaedong's units from the droppings, and the hatchery gets taken down as well at the 3 o'clock position. This game looks to be slipping away from Jaedong. Diggity, do you feel that's what's happening? Do you feel Bisu is now slowly taking the lead?
Yeah, definitely. As you can see, Jaedong has 3 bases now, and he's going up against a 4-base Protoss player. He already I mean, he's just outproducing him macro-wise at this point. I was wondering actually why Bisu hadn't pushed into large macro. He's just keeping that force there. I'm not sure why he's not pushing off with that gigantic force right there. Maybe he's just waiting for a linking arc or something. With it. Yeah, basically, but as you can see, he's just all over the map. Another drop, going to take out more drones. Bisu definitely in control here, taking out drones left and right. And Bisu's economy's basically been untouched. And on top of that, economic advantage of the 4 bases. 4 base Protoss, you cannot beat that with just 3 bases with Zerg. He does have defilers. It's going to take some brilliant micro and some really decisive battles for Jaedong to pull this out at this point, I think. And this might be it as he's gathering up right now.